Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. This is my Choose a Main guide for Street Fighter 6, where I'll be going over every character in the game, telling you what they're all about so you can help decide which character you would like to pick and put your time into in Street Fighter 6. So a few things to note first. One, the character roster is incredibly varied. 18 characters and just about every single playstyle you could ever hope for in fighting games is represented here. And also, in this video, I will have timestamps, so feel free to skip ahead to whatever character you think you might be interested in, although leave a like if you could, that'd be greatly appreciated. And that said, well, let's start with the face that runs the place before anybody else. Welcome to Ryu. He's the face that runs the place. He is the mascot, not of the game, but of the entire genre of fighting games. You've probably heard of him. And here's the thing, just not to surprise you out of the gate, but he's got all the things you would expect. He's got a fireball, he's got an uppercut, and he's got a hurricane kick. So yes, the usual stuff is there, but in this game, he's a whole lot more as well. The donkey kick, as it were, is now a part of his core moveset. It's in some games, it's not in some games. It always switches up. It's part of the base roster moveset here now. And also, he's got all new moves. One, he has the Hashogeki, which is basically a Hadoken, but it explodes in his palms. And it's just basically a big, juicy hit up front. As you can tell here, this is the heavy version. It launches, and naturally, yes, of course, you can juggle after the fact. That's really fun. And he has an install. He has the Denjin install, where he gets imbued with the power of nothing. This is his new arc, by the way. No more evil Ryu stuff. He's well past that. As you can see here, he's kind of glowing with lightning now, right? And that supercharges multiple moves. That Hashogeki we talked about, it makes that move much stronger, more damage, better juggle, plus on block, all that fun stuff. And also his fireballs now become multi-hitting fireballs of just in and of themselves. You don't have to EX it. And say if you did EX it, it's 3 hits now instead of 2. So if he gets this off, he can rest assured he's winning the next fireball war exchange for the most part. And it's pretty quick for what it is, so Ryu can almost always have the buff up if there's ever a lull in the action, which is great because it unlocks a lot of potential for a lot of things. Let me show you an example combo with a buffed Hashogeki. So yeah, the boy's got a lot more style in his combos these days, thanks to the new moves, and also thanks to a lot of universal things like the drive system. The drive system benefits everyone greatly, but plain, boring, milk and toast Ryu, he gets a lot out of it. Like say his classic overhead, still in the game, and say you drive rush into that overhead, it lets you do combos now. Not bad for a simple overhead, and of course this isn't unique to Ryu. Everyone can use the drive system to great success. That's part of the beauty of this game, but just to show an example for the most basic character, as it were, what they can do with it. The Street Fighter 6 version of Ryu is a great version of Ryu. He's got all the classic things you would want. He's very easy to use and just operate all around, and he hits like a damn truck in this version of the game. From basic play to advanced play, Ryu kind of has something for everybody. You want to just do simple fireball and then uppercut them when they jump the fireball, that's there. Crouch medium kick is back in all its glory this time around. No more stubby Street Fighter 5 crouch medium kicks. So if you just want to play crouch medium kick into fireball all day long, that works just as well. And he's basically as much or as little as you want him to be. It's a really good version of Ryu in this game. So if you're looking to start Street Fighter 6, I definitely would highly recommend Ryu because he does just about every aspect of the game fantastically. So here is Luke. You might notice him as the guy what's face is on the box of the game. He's sort of a new protagonist. So Ryu's still the mascot of the franchise, but this time around, Luke, new character, a bit of prominence. So like Ryu, he is definitely an all-rounder in that, well, he has the uppercut, And he's got a fireball. No hurricane kick, though. He's got some other stuff besides that. The one thing to note just out of the gate here, so Luke, as an all-rounder, his fireball game is a bit different than everyone else. His fireball's sort of all in the startup, but the actual projectile travel speed, even for, like, say, the light version, which doesn't travel that far, is almost instantaneous. It's more like a beam from, say, a versus game than a true projectile fireball. So when it comes to controlling space, Luke is really, really good at it. Also on that note, his normal game is very good, has a lot of very strong normals, especially stand medium kick, crouch medium kick, and a lot of his punches are all advancing normals. So if you are, say, more used to NetherRealm games like Mortal Kombat and Justice, Luke might be a character you might feel at home with, because a lot of his core moveset moves him forward, which is normal in Mortal Kombat, but not as much in Street Fighter. Combined with the fact that he has many target combos, many chains, if you will, that he can combo from that are multi-hit. Also, like, say, Mortal Kombat. So that sounds good to you, you'll feel right at home. Now, Luke is an all-rounder character in that he can play mid-screen just as good as anyone, better than most, in fact. Now, one of the interesting things about Luke is he's very aggressive, and he has a mechanic specifically tied to his aggression. So, as you may know, the drive gauge, that's the green bars below your health, let you do things like, you know, EX moves, OD moves in this game, your drive system moves, all that kind of stuff. Except he gets to spend more meter than anyone else. In that, a lot of his moves, you can basically double EX them. So take the Sandblast here. That's his fireball. If I were to hit 2 punches again after the fact, I'll burn an additional bar, so 3 bars in total, and get a second shot getting even more damage than the base shot. So lets me get more damage, but I'm all the closer to the dreaded burnout state. Much the same, the uppercut. So normally it's a 2-hitting move, but if you hit 2 punches again after the fact, you can get a 3rd hit at the cost of 1 extra bar and getting even more damage. So his reach, as you would, his ability to close out a round is actually quite a bit better than a lot of the characters, because he has opportunities to burn even more meter than most characters get. So if you're looking for that bit of extra aggression, then Luke is really good at it. And once again, those advancing normals we talked about help too, because it lets you just hit from further away. And he also has an element of perfect timing. So he has this moveset called the Flash Knuckle. It's quarter circle back punch. And each punch gives you a different move. So one's a bit of an uppercut that launches you up a little bit. One's a punch to the stomach. And one's just a big old wallop punch that knocks you down. All 3 of these moves, you can hold the button and change the outcome of the move. So normally, the light punch version, as you see here, just pops up. And if I hold it, it just properly launches. And yes, just so you know, you can absolutely combo after the fact on the charged version. Much the same here, the charged version of the medium punch bounces you off the wall. And yes, once again, you can absolutely combo that as well. And the charged heavy version just slams you down even further, 2 hits. And also, if the enemy blocks it, you are advantage on block with the held version. It is your turn after they block, not their turn. So that's really great. And all 3 of these have a perfect timing of the move. So here we have the damage values turned on. So here's the normal charge version. So 800 damage all in all. And it has the juggle. And if we do the perfect time version, where we'll hold it for just a little bit, and when you see Luke's arm just flashed, you let go. As you see, now it does 900 instead of 800, so 100 more damage. And he also yells perfect, so it's a little bit of an audio cue for you as well. And perfect combos actually juggle higher, do more damage. So you can get new combos that aren't normally possible. Like, say, the medium version of Flash Knuckle, this guy here. So the perfect version is actually 1 frame faster than the held version, which I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But say Crouch Heavy Punch here. Crouch Heavy Punch, the held full charge version doesn't naturally combo. However, the perfect version does. See, that is a natural 3-hit combo now. So it allows you to get new combos and new strings that you just never would otherwise. Let's give you an example. So there we go. We whiff punish the move, use our drive system to drive rush cancel the stand heavy punch, and then since we knew we were going for a combo that ended with crouch heavy punch, we went for the perfect. We get the natural combo from crouch heavy punch, and well, we go from there. So it allows just for more combos, better opportunities, all that fun stuff. And as for the charged version of Flash Knuckle, the heavy version, well, the perfect just does a lot more damage. So that's its reward in and of itself. So the whole perfect system is really good. Luke has a lot of unique systems. There's only one other character that has a perfect timing system, and nobody can do double EXs like Luke can. So that said, he's on the face of the box for the reason. He's a pretty good all-rounder, and he's pretty easy to understand. The perfect timing mechanic might take you a little bit to get used to. You will have to practice. It's Street Fighter. You're going to have to practice. That's how it is. That's the appeal of the game. But other than that, everything else is really intuitive, really to understand. Everything just works. His buttons are very good, very satisfying. He has some pretty strong plus on block move, advantage on block moves like crouch medium punch or the aforementioned charged heavy flash knuckle. And he's pretty simple to wrap your head around and understand. He's just a really good bully. So if that sounds appealing to you, Luke's definitely a character for you. So next up, let's talk Ken Masters. So Ken Masters, like Ryu, is a Shoto character, an all-rounder, although he's an all-rounder with a bit more of an aggressive bent. His fireball game is maybe not as strong as Ryu's, but his up-close game is a bit more tricky, especially because he has a lot of mix-up potential. Now, if you haven't been following along with the story of Street Fighter 6, you might notice his appearance is a little bit more rugged. Wearing a pretty beat-up duster, he's literally wearing jogging pants here. Things haven't gone so well. Like, very literally, cryptocurrency gone wrong and some other things. So, hopefully he'll get back on his feet, but for now, let's talk the gameplay. So, as mentioned, yes, he is a Shoto character like Ryu. So, we got the fireball, we got the hurricane kick, and of course, Ken being Ken, we definitely have the uppercut. That's all there, but Ken's got some new tools this time around. One, you may remember certain tools and moves like his big step kick, right? So that's in the game for sure. It's baked into a new run mechanic. So the run was a V skill in Street Fighter V, now it's just proper move. So it's any two kicks together and he'll run. And when he runs, he can either do a fast stop, which can lead to little tricky things sometimes, like going for, combos, moves, and he can go for a run, stop, and then go for a throw. So that's part of his tricky mix-up game. He can also run and go for an overhead very quickly, or run and do the famed step kick. So this gives him a lot of range as he can poke you from pretty far away. Ken has some pretty significant range in this game actually, thanks to stuff like that and some of his command normal series, as you can see here. And not only that, the run, as you can see here, some flames, like a little bit of a flame spark around his feet, right? Because if you do some of his special moves from the run, like say the hurricane kick, oh well, geez Louise. As you can see, it gets a lot more flashy. And not only that, it has some significant gameplay ramifications. So here you can see the damage values and the frame data up. So say we go for regular heavy kick, hurricane kick. Knocks down, that's good, does 1,000 damage all in all, right? Now if we go for the run version of the hurricane kick, does more damage, 1,200 versus 1,000, so straight up more damage, and it doesn't knock you down, which you would think would be a bad thing. Knocking the opponent down is a very good thing most of the time in fighting games. But here, it leaves you directly in front of their face, and you are at 3 frames of advantage, so it means it's your turn. So after getting kicked in the head viciously from doing this, still Ken's turn. So you could land a full combo and get all this damage in, and then it's still your turn. So like if you go for quick lights or whatever, if they press any button, they're gonna lose. If they don't immediately throw tech, you will throw them. Like whatever you do, they just got a groove on it. And of course, that's not the only thing, far from it. If you do the run and uppercut, well then you get the classic flaming uppercut. The regular uppercut, no flames, because Ken's down on his luck, he's not feeling himself. But when you run, the old Ken comes back and you get those lovely flaming uppercuts. And fun thing about the flaming uppercuts is they're full projectile invincible as well. You don't even have to spend any meter. So if you think they're going to throw a fireball from full screen, you can literally just run right through it and uppercut them from full screen, just about. So it's a pretty good belligerent tool. He also has a new kick, that is the Dragon Lash kick. So that's just Dragon Punch motion and kick. So this is also buffed by the run. And if you catch someone while they're in the air, it'll actually switch sides. Switching sides is always handy when you have your back to the wall. And it lets you do things like put the opponent back in the corner. Really handy. Not the least of which is it also lets you combo after the fact. So good damage, switch sides, good tool for the toolbox. And speaking of that toolbox, so we have the new kick as well. Another new kick. Ken's got a lot of new stuff in this game. We have the Jinrai kick. So that's as simple as quarter circle forward and kick, and this allows for multiple follow-ups. Specifically, it's a multiple mix-up option move. So after the initial kick, which is always the same, you can hit forward light, and then Ken goes for a low. Has to be blocked crouch blocking. If you hit forward and medium kick, he goes for an overhead, which has to be blocked stand blocking. So you sort of have a 50-50 out of the gate, if you will. And also forward and heavy kick just forgoes the mix-up and just hits you with a very powerful kick. So at any point you're blocking Ken, he can just naturally easily combo into this, and then it's time to start guessing. Am I going low? Am I going overhead? Maybe if you're smart and try to drive impact through it, maybe I'll just block. Maybe I won't do anything at all and then catch your drive impact, right? So the mind games are there. This leads to Ken's aggression over, say, Ryu. Ryu is a heavier hitter, but his offense is a bit more plain, and he prefers to play a little bit from further away. Ken likes to get in there. So just like Ryu, this version of Ken in Street Fighter 6 is a pretty good version of Ken. So if all this sounds like it's appealing for you, then Ken's probably a character you might want to try out. So now Jamie. Jamie is Street Fighter's first ever drunken boxer slash breakdancer. And we've talked all-rounder Shoto for the last couple characters. No. Jamie is a pure rushdown character. This character is hyper aggressive. So keeping in mind with the fact that he's a drunken boxer, well, his whole mechanic is about drinking. And he has 4 drink levels. So drink level 1, drink level 2, 3, 4. And at level 4, well, that's when stuff starts getting real. Level 4 Jamie is not the same character as level 1 Jamie. If you remember Nikali in Street Fighter 5, it's almost something like that. And not just because the hair is all crazy too. Level 4 Jamie is on a different tier than level 1 Jamie is. So since everything's about drinking for this character, let's talk about the drinks. So every drink level from 1 through 4 unlocks new moves. So it definitely behooves you to get as many drinks in as possible. At level 1 drink, then his dive kick gets unleashed. So he cannot do this normally until he has at least 1 drink in. And just FYI, drinks do not carry over between rounds. So at the start of a new round, you got to keep drinking and keep drinking and keep drinking. And the dive kick, well, if you played any amount of Street Fighter, you know the words dive kick should inspire fear in you. And this is much the same. On stuff like EX dive kicks here, you can actually combo you if it connects. And if the dive kick hits you roughly around where, say, your shins are, he can make the move plus on block. So it's advantage for him if it gets blocked. So he can keep going crazy. That's frankly nuts. 2 drinks in, he starts unlocking breakdancing. And this is a very powerful move. If you can end combos with this move, this is generally one of the better moves to end it with, as it does a lot of damage for what it is. And also, it just straight up goes through fireballs. So 2 drinks in, then he has dive kicks to go through fireballs, and also breakdancing to go through fireballs. So characters that rely on fireballs quite a bit, Jamie's a bit of a terror. And speaking of being a bit of a terror, 3 drinks in now, well, geez Louise, he unlocks a command grab, straight up. So as you can see here, the enemy is set to block just about everything, high or low, doesn't matter. But command grabs, they don't care. So as you can see here, it's not like a big, just spinning pile driver Zangief kind of thing, right? It's more of a fake out, and what it lets you do is connect moves after the fact. So I can get that crouch medium punch in. And if I can get that crouch medium punch in, well then, geez Louise, I can get just about anything in, couldn't I? And also, if you choose to do the EX version, this will come with a bit of a hit, and it lets you get bigger moves in. So before we get crouch medium punch in, now we get something like, say, crouch heavy punch in. And we can get bigger combos, like a heavier version of the breakdance in, and get a lot more overall damage. So once again, this doesn't put them on the level of like Zangief or Manon or anything like that, right? They're the primary grapplers, but it gives them a very powerful tool. With all the offense and strong buttons and everything he has, a command grab is what the doctor ordered. And of course now, level 4. So one of the moves he has is a big palm strike. And at level 4, he gets a follow-up to that palm strike. And also, every level makes you do more and more and more damage. So let's bring back that helpful little infographic here. So let's look at, say, stand medium kick, right? Solid enough button. does 540 damage. Now you might notice it says 90% when it says that, right? Because Jamie actually starts with below average damage. 1 drink in, now he does 95% damage, so the damage value is going up. 2 drinks in, now it does 100 damage, and once again the damage value is going up, and this is across the board for every possible move. 3 drinks in, now we're at 105% damage, and 4 drinks in, maxed out, we're at 110. So keep in mind here, so just stand medium kick as our baseline. At level 4 does 660. At level 1 does 540. So that's pretty significant damage boost. So the more you drink, not only are you unlocking new moves, you're just straight up doing more actual damage across the board. So the threat matrix of each drink is amazing. So it behooves you, whenever you can sneak in a drink, go for it. Also, some moves have drinks built into them. Like say his sweep. You can choose to go for a command sweep follow-up and then get a drink in that way. So if you can confirm the sweep, you can confirm a free drink. Awesome. Say you're at level 2, it actually supercharges his overhead. So normally his overhead, forward medium kick, you have to block that standing, and it gives it a follow-up. This guy right here. And if it connects, all you gotta do is hit punch and you can sneak a drink in real quick. And now we are at level 2, we're at level 3. And speaking of level 3, not only does the drink levels unlock special moves, it also unlocks new target combos. So back heavy punch actually gets all sorts of follow-ups now. You can go back heavy punch into a heavy kick ender. This is only possible at level 3. So I really want to stress, you really got to level up those drinks. Now, besides the drinks, which is always good, he's also a Rekka character. So meaning he has a starter and he has multiple enders based on what buttons you're pressing. And of course, one of those enders, well, lets you drink, right? So you don't have to commit to anything past the first move unless you want to. So if you're doing, basic hit confirms, if you see it get blocked, you can just stop right here. But if you see it connect, then you can keep going, get more extra hits in. So if you like the Rekka style of character, well, that's exactly who he is in this game. So one of the very interesting things here about Jamie is he's the only character in the game that can actually let you juggle after his level 3 super. Not the critical art low health version, but the regular version you can. And as you can see here, the enemy, they're launched up. And you can follow up after the fact. And it can lead to some pretty significant damage, as you can see. Also a fun thing, his level 2 super is not an attack. If you do his level 2, he just drinks and immediately goes to level 4 no matter what level you were. And you can see here, little draining bar. It's not forever, but it puts you at your max threat level right away for a limited amount of time. So sometimes that's exactly what you need. So just an interesting character all around. One final thing, there is still benefits to doing the drink when you're max level. As you see here, my drive gauge is recovering. And every time you drink, you actually gain drive gauge. So there's still advantages no matter what. So all in all, mechanically, he's one of the coolest characters in this game. As a newcomer too, I think he's a great ambassador as one of the newcomers, as he is meant to be Luke's rival. And obviously you tell just his animations, all that kind of stuff, the way he moves, like, it's all just great. He's a really fun character. And the fact that even basic things like the Rekka series, when he's max drunk, they go out of their way to reanimate everything. Like, they definitely went the extra mile with this character. Jamie is pretty cool. Now, Chun-Li. So I probably don't gotta sell you on Chun-Li too hard. You know who Chun-Li is. But one thing I will say, Chun-Li, she was the person bent on revenge. She was a cop searching after M. Bison and all that kind of stuff, right? No longer. She's chilled out. And not only that, she is now the master. And a lot of that's very apparent just in some basic things. Chun-Li has been doing this thing for quite some time, and she's the one teaching people how to do it now. And one of the things that really reflects that is, well, yes, the base moveset's there. She still has Kikoken. She still has spinning bird kick. And Chun-Li being Chun-Li, a lot of moves take a game off. You can't always guarantee if a certain move is going to be there. But things like Hazanshu, it's in the game. Her flip overhead kick. Tensho kicks are baked in. And just so you know, it counts as the Shoryuken in this game, meaning it is invincible to aerial attacks. But the beauty here is it's just down kick. There's no dragon punch motion. There's no charge down for 2 seconds up. Although, well, she still has that for spinning bird kick. That's still a thing, right? But if you just want to stop jump-ins, just down kick. Easiest invincible anti-air you're ever going to find in Street Fighter. So besides that, she still has things like the toe taps. She can still do all that. Lightning legs, you better believe it. And for the most part, just as good as it's ever been. High damage, fantastic. The normals? Hey, stand heavy punch is still a thing. Don't worry, she can hit you from much further away than most characters can hit her back. So a lot of the classic Chun-Li experience is still here, and enhanced thanks to a lot of the core system mechanics. Thanks to things like, say, punish counter. If you catch a move now, easier than ever to get a combo because it's even more frame advantage than a counter hit. That's great. Not to mention some moves are specifically designed with punish counter in mind, like forward heavy kick. So this was a crush counter in Street Fighter V. So this is a really good move to crush lows, as in people who poke low a lot, this will go right over their crouching kick. And in this game, if I catch you, I'll get that punish counter and I'll get a unique knockdown effect I can't otherwise get. And then all of a sudden, way bigger combo, right? So that's really good. She's built around this a lot. And now, keeping with the theme that she's now the master, she is now a stance character, yes. So just like one of her teachers, Gen was a stance character, now she's a stance character as well. Not quite the same level of a Gen, where she's two completely different characters, but she has her stance here, which is this quarter circle back and punch button, put her in the stance. And from here, she has 6 options. One for every button: light, medium, heavy punch, light, medium, heavy kick. So stance, light punch, quick little poke. Stance, medium punch, it's a slide. Slide that goes low, you have to crouch block, knocks down, and yes, goes underneath fireballs. So if you're expecting a fireball, that's pretty handy. Stance heavy punch, which is a true overhead, so you have to block this standing. Stance light kick, which is just a little bit of a poke, very quick. Stance medium kick, an even bigger poke. And stance heavy kick, which is a true blue launcher. Like, you can follow up and get combos after the fact, so that's really handy. Now here's the extra beautiful part. A lot of these are special cancelable. So I can go for that overhead, say, and go immediately into my up kicks. Or I can go into spinning bird kick. Why can I do that? I wasn't charging. Because the stance removes all charge requirements. So say I go for that little light kick poke, right? If I do that and hit back forward punch, I will get my Kikoken without any charge. I don't have to hold backwards for a second, then hit forward. I can just go back forward button, go. And that really makes a lot of her things scary. So that stand heavy punch we talked about earlier. So wouldn't you know, say you catch him with a counter hit, right? That's a true blue 3-hit combo. And of course, if I know it's going to connect, I don't have to settle for a fireball. I can go right into a spinning bird kick or whatever, right? So all sorts of tricky things, lows, overheads. And if you catch him with that overhead, once again, you just go right into spinning bird kick or any high damage move. Lots of combo extensions. Pretty cool stuff all around. In fact, too, that you can go from a level 2 super into a level 1 super. Not many characters in this game can do something like that. So this time around, Chun-Li is maybe a little bit more of an advanced character. She's tricky, she's not easy, and then again, you know what? Chun-Li's always been a bit more difficult, I would say, on average than most characters in this game and the franchise. This time around, you're gonna have to put in the work, but the reward is definitely there, because all the classic Chun-Li stuff is still there, but the stance stuff adds a very interesting layer and flavor, especially just for the fact, if anything, that it removes all charge requirements, so you don't have to hold back or hold down or whatever. You can just go into stance, hit a button, and go into whatever move, no charge, is really interesting. So if you like the sound of what I'm saying here, Chun-Li might be the character for you. You might have to work a little bit harder than, say, a Luke or a Ken, but the rewards are there. Kimberly. So Kimberly is our game's resident ninja. A little bit different than what you might expect from a ninja, but she is from the Bushin Ryu lineage. Meaning, if you played Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter Alpha, you know Guile? Well, she's Guy's student. And therefore, well, has a lot of the Guy-isms, from the big slide kick to that annoying drop elbow. Is she going to cross you up? Is she going to stay the same side? Who knows? Because she has to change her jump trajectory, which is always an incredibly powerful tool. So with that in mind, as a ninja, she has a lot of tricky ninja things. Not the least of which, teleports, y'all. So anywhere she is on the screen, quarter circle back and punch, and she can be directly on top of you. And it's extra scary if you toss a fireball, because she can just go through a fireball and attack you on the other end. But she always has the threat to be just directly beside you whenever she wants. Play neutral? Who's heard of that? Even worse, the EX version is an air teleport. So wherever she is on the screen, that's where she is, on top of your head. And yes, naturally, she gets to do jump kicks and all that kind of stuff from this teleport. So she can hit you with a super meaty combo anywhere on screen if you're not paying attention. Now you might notice like the big shakes of color here. So she's all about spray paint. She's a graffiti artist. And that definitely carries into part of her moveset. You might notice the 2 below the health bar. So she has a limited time use bomb mechanic. And these are spray paint bottles here. And she detonates them and they go off like bombs and launches you. And naturally, if it launches you, you can probably put 2 and 2 together, because she's definitely going to be able to combo after the fact. What's really scary about these bomb setups is the fact that, well, they're setups. She can knock you down in ways that are very easy, like that's just as basic gets. And then she can toss a bomb, and we have her handy dandy frame counter here. And after she tosses that bomb, she's +3, so it's her turn. So if you both mash buttons right away, she's going to win. And not only is she going to win, she's going to win with a bomb in your face. So let's set an example here that they're going to mash on their wake up. Try to beat us, right? But we're advantage and we got a bomb waiting for them, so what can we do? So yeah, that would make you feel pretty stupid for hitting a button, right? You just got conked in the head and lost a bunch of life. But now, let's say, same scenario, but you choose to block and be defensive after the fact. Okay, so smart cookie this time, right? We just blocked it all, no big deal. Well, you can't exactly do that in a lot of bomb scenarios either. Because if you're just looking to sit and block after the fact, well, you probably know throws beat blocks, right? And throws interact pretty alright with the bombs as well. So I'm going to throw you as soon as you wake up. Oh, and the throw combos with the bomb and actually launches you up. Which means, well, I get guaranteed damage, right? So if you hit buttons, you might get hit, you might get bombed on. If you're passive, you might get thrown and you might get bombed on. And, well, there's a reason why you only get 2 of these things, basically. It's a very powerful mechanic. So you run out of the bombs, same motion, and she'll start stocking new bombs. And if you do an EX, she'll stock 2 at once. And by the way, if you EX as well with the base move, she'll throw out both bombs, leading to some extra powerful explosions. But yeah, the term is we call set play. In that, once she gets the knockdown, sets up the bomb, the world's her oyster, you're definitely at a pretty sizable disadvantage. And, well, for Kimberly, she's at a sizable advantage. So we got teleports, we got bombs. Might have seen the run showcased a little bit here. Command run, just like Guile. So we can run, and if you just let it rock, she'll actually just bounce off the enemy. And that is regardless of what happens. So say they are just blocking, right? You still bounce off them regardless. Like, it doesn't actually matter. And the thing is, you actually have 2 options. You can kick them, or if they're blocking, you can actually go for a throw and give them an aerial power bomb. So that's pretty handy. You can run stop for fake out. So you can go like jab, jab, run, stop, throw, all that fun stuff. You have a low, and this is the very strong anti-air, as she's like so low to the ground. Only one fireball in the game really would really hit her, Juri specifically, because that also scrapes off the ground, but it's really good. She has all sorts of kicks, big old wheel kicks here, and one of the fun things about that wheel kick is it is indeed advantage on block. Advantage on block frames are always good. And she has an overhead. Now this is not advantage on block, but it does have to be blocked standing. She has launchers as part of her base moveset, so you can just hit the enemy, juggle, and follow up for some pretty cool and just flashy stuff out of the gate. That's always fun. So teleports, air teleports, bomb mix-ups, like all sorts of rushdown shenanigans. There's a lot. It's a ninja's ninja. And not only that, well, we got the funky fresh beats. So she's a big fan of 80s music. They don't say which bands, but I'm assuming she's an Hall & Oates girl, because anyone who has some taste has Hall & Oates in them. And then you might notice this little aura around her. And the fact that she's just rocking out, right? You know, she's hearing it. You know, you're out of touch. I'm out of time, right? She's hearing it. And you can see she's just having the time of her life walking around. This is a permanent buff. So let's turn on our handy little attack data here. So let's use a move, Stand Heavy Punch, 630 damage. So she'll do her level 3. And most characters, you want to save level 3 for like a round ending scenario. But she's a little different because this permanent buff gives her an 11% damage buff across the board. Once again, it's permanent. So if, for say, you get it in round 1 for whatever reason, it'll be there round 2 and it'll be there round 3. And not only that, you see her animations are changed. She actually moves faster. It's not a lot faster, but her walk speed is faster across the board. So this is something that you might not want to save it for the big score. Maybe you just want to do it when you get it just to get the buff, especially early on if you can. Because it's not a giant damage buff, but man, a permanent damage buff is, well, a permanent damage buff. It's not exactly something you can shake off. So all these neat toys, all sorts of interesting target combos, a lot more than the average character. If this sounds like something for you, then Kimberly is absolutely your character. Now, E Honda, the big boy himself, looking mighty terrifying in Street Fighter 6. Now, gameplay-wise, you might accuse him of being a bit vanilla, but vanilla is what the doctor ordered in his case. So, a lot of the classic stuff. Sumo Headbutt, it's here, and by God, it is better than ever. So if we turn on, say, our handy-dandy frame data meter here, and let's say we have the enemy block everything. Now, some things like, oh, jab headbutt, light headbutt, safe on block, you know, -4, right? You'd expect that. Medium? Oh, it's -4 as well. Usually it's a little bit more negative than that. What about that nasty old full screen headbutt? Oh, -4 with a lot of pushback, so completely safe. And a lot of other Street Fighters, you get blown up for this. You better hope it hits or you're gonna get cracked over the head. Not in this game. Safety is the name of the game here. Honda's got all sorts of safe headbutts. Say butt slams, they're all plus on block. Even if you cross up with them, they're always advantage on block no matter what. Left, right, and it's very easy to cross up. It is always your turn if it gets blocked. And if it hits, all the better yet. And thanks to some system changes, we talked earlier about how certain moves get new properties if they're punish counters. Butt Stomp becomes a ground bounce if it's a punish counter. So if you whiff whatever button, not only are you getting hit with Honda's butt, you're getting comboed. Like, that's not a good feeling now, is it? It's a pretty good move now. You better watch out. Now, you might have noticed here, I managed a combo after the 100 hand slaps. That's because Honda's buff from Street Fighter V is now graduated from the skill to just base move. So if you go and gain the Mandate of Heaven, any 100 hand slap gets a slap follow-up, funnily enough, and it's always at least +4, and crouch jab is 4 frame startup, which means instead of something like this, you can go for a combo and just keep going. And it can be another 100 hand slap. It can be a sumo headbutt. World's your oyster. In fact, in the corner, it can lead to a substantial amount of bounces. There we go. We got quite a bit of follow-ups there, didn't we? So yeah, the buff, it's the real deal. It really ups your offensive potential. And speaking of things that graduated from Street Fighter V, the other V skill also made it back. The Neko Damashi, the big clap. So sure as sugar, you can clap you in the head, right? Bonk you upside the head. But the beauty is, it also destroys fireballs. So if you're looking to get your way in, this is an easy way to do it. Now Honda, more than most characters, has had easy ways in, because he does have the stop sign. This is forward or back heavy punch while neutral jumping, and it lets him have a bit of air control. So if fireballs are coming your way, you can jump over it and gain a little bit of forward distance. But now, you just clap through things. And yes, by the way, you can hit the enemy behind the fireball if you're on the ball enough, just so you know. But yeah, he just has more options, and you don't have to pick and choose V-skills like, say, Street Fighter V. So we got hand slaps, as you would expect. We got sumo headbutts, as you would expect. We got sumo butt stomps, as you would expect. Well, what also makes a return is Oicho Nage. That is his command grab. And command grabs in this game are the scariest they've been since, like, Street Fighter 2, I guess. Even though it's on the weaker end of things compared to, say, Lily or Zangief or whatever, it is still the most damage he's ever done with the move. And it's always good to have a command grab. And Honda, once he gets in, he's got some plus frames, the butt stomp, stand medium punches plus on block. He still has overheads. And at some point of a low, an overhead, a command grab. The overhead, which you can actually fake into the command grab, you don't have to commit to it. Honda will open you up. And to put it with it, he's got a really good overall tool set. Just the basic buttons, like we talked about, medium punch is really good. Stand medium kick's a very fun specific button, as it's tailor-made to beat people's crouch medium kicks, as it raises his hurt box, so he can hit you and you can't hit him back if you're always just kind of poking low at the ground. And poking low at the ground, Honda's a true master in this game. So forward heavy kick returns. He's had this move some way, some shape and form forever, right? Either it's just stand heavy kick normally or it's command normal. But unlike many other moves like this in the game, here you can see you had the enemy set to block everything, right? Unlike most moves like this in the game, especially with this range, it's a true low. You actually have to block this crouching. Now, up close lows, like that's to be expected, right? Most people are not thinking about getting hit by a low this far away unless it's a sweep. And sweeps, for the most part, are punishable on block. This is absolutely not. So when it comes to just the usual back and forth in this game, Honda has actually a very large blessing. Because when you're doing the back and forth of neutral, what you're not doing is blocking low. So his ability to snipe your toes is actually exceptional in this game. Add that to the fact that he just has a new move. He has the sumo stance here. So this is a traditional sumo forward march, and he has two moves out of it. Either some big old sumo chops, or a straight up launcher. And yes, he can combo from the launcher. And from here, well, you can get combos pretty as you please. You can be pretty just imaginative with him. Whatever works for you, right? And Honda's just a character, like a lot of the classic casts, that just hasn't had a new move in a very long time. So that's refreshing to see. So Honda's a big old bully this time around. And it really helps the fact that EX Headbutt is armored, as you would expect. However, has 2 hits armor. So if you're trying to armor through a fireball, EX Fireballs will not save them. He will armor through both hits. So it is like a drive impact in that way, except it is much faster than a drive impact. You're not going to have time to react back. So all in all, this version of Honda is the best version of Honda in a good long while, in my opinion. And if you're a fan of the big boys and sumo, Honda is your pick in this game. Next up, Marisa. So style, grace, technique, all that stuff, garbage. What matters with Marisa is pure, unbridled power. That is what this character is. More than anyone else, it's about putting a fist down someone's throat and just crushing them into dust. And to wit, with these things, Marisa has a very special mechanic. And of course we have all sorts of special moves and all that, but let's talk the mechanic. So it's Street Fighter, as you probably well know, hopefully anyways. So you have light, mediums, and heavies. Punch, kick, whatever. Light, medium, heavies. Marisa can charge, as in hold, every single one of her heavies. So when I mean every single one, I mean every single one. So like, stand heavy punch, you betcha. Stand heavy kick, you betcha. Crouch heavy punch, yep. Crouch heavy kick, the sweep, yeah, even the sweep. Jump heavy kick, jump heavy punch, yep. Even command moves. So say down forward heavy punch, that's her overhead. So it's a true overhead. So it's a move you have to block standing, can't crouch it, right? You can hit him with a quick overhead, or you can charge it and get an even nastier overhead. And thanks to the magic of frame data, the regular one here, it's just neutral, right? It is meant to be used as part of like a target combo. And if you land the target combo, it is negative overall. But you've snuck in an overhead. The charge version, though, oh, that's +5. +5 means you can sneak in some lights. So now, all of a sudden, you got a whole combo. So yes, it is a slower overhead, right? It's 10 frames slower. But however, if you manage to land it, you get combos. Like, that's how good this stuff is. So big hits is the name of the game, just across the board. And well, geez Louise, it's a really big deal. So we're gonna keep that little frame meter on here, because the big hits, well, they're big for a reason. So say the Superman punch, this is a dragon punch motion. This move is naturally advantage on block. The majority of these charge moves I was talking about, they are also, a lot of them, advantage on block. Advantage on block compared to previous Street Fighters is actually quite rare in this game, and Marisa easily has the most and almost more advantage on block moves than like the rest of the cast combined. If you block Marisa, it's probably still her turn. She still gets to go again. So that's one of the most dangerous things about her. That, and she is absolutely dripping with super armor. Even like basic things, like I don't need to charge it, and you can charge it, and when you charge it, you get even more super armor, just FYI. But even on basic things, she has super armor, and it's really strong. And of course, say you want to spend meter, all that kind of stuff, then the super armor gets better yet. Say her big punch, the Gladius. If you charge it, it's super armor on frame 1, on top of like more damage, a faster move, and all that kind of stuff. In fact, she has a whole stance dedicated to armor. And if you touch her in any way, shape, or form during this stance, she's gonna bop you with a headbutt. Automatic, it's guaranteed to hit. Well, unless it's very far away, but for the most part, it's guaranteed to hit. And this stance is actually quite savage. So yes, automatically hits you if you touch her. That's great. But you can also do a lot of things from it. From the stance, it comes with a low. This is something you actually have to block low. And of course, naturally, if you start blocking low when you see this, it also comes with an overhead. And this overhead can be multiple hit as well. If you want to go for the single hit, it's also safe. And most terrifying of which. So if we're doing this raw, the low, the overhead, both are scary. And when you're worrying about, okay, which way do I got to block? She also has a pretty hefty command grab where she caves in the back of your skull. So this giant, heavy-hitting character with super armor everywhere also has incredibly strong mix-up. Guess high, guess low, or guess throw. That's kind of all the pillars of mix-up you need, and she's got it. Couple it with the fact that she can really reach out and touch you. Just because she's the slower archetype does not mean she, for whatever reason, lacks for range. She can hit you from pretty far away, which is usually not how this kind of character works. Normally, you kind of got to work your way in real slow, but no, you can just swing for the fences, as it were. Now, one admitted weakness of the character is, well, if you're going to do all these like gigantic charge moves on me, I believe I'll just drive impact through them, and fair enough. That's an option available to some of these moves. Because the secret with Marisa is, she is a character that can actually break armor. So things like the fully charged version of Gladius, if it connects against armor, could be a drive impact, could be her own armor in the mirror match. It will just automatically break the armor. It doesn't matter what you hit her with. It just goes through it. Clean as day. You can't tough through her hits, basically. She is so ridiculously strong. Even a move that should nominally go through a move will not work against her if you do the right move. Another thing about Marisa, due to her, well, frankly, straightforward nature, well, she's straightforward. She's actually one of the easiest characters to get a hang of, in my opinion. Because you just go, 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 armor through everything, break everyone's armor, smash them in the face, and that's about it. Like basic combo structure, combo theory. If you want it on the easier end of things, it can be on the easier end of things and do a lot of damage. And if you're looking to get tricky, the options are absolutely there for you. She can do quite a bit. As you can see here. Well, fancy enough combo for the big hitter, right? So these are the things that are available to her. Just tons of plus frames, massive moves, and moves, well, God forbid they don't block the plus frames. You just get big combos, right? So she's absolutely the heaviest hitter in Street Fighter 6. And if you're looking for someone with no flash, no gimmicks, no mix-ups or whatever, just big hits and just smashing people into dust, Marisa is absolutely the character for you. Now, Zangief, grappling is back in a pretty big way in Street Fighter 6. Even to something as simple as this. Normally, oh, I gotta be right beside you to grapple, right? No, Zangief, the range is pretty good this time around. He doesn't really need to be too far away from you to grab you, if you get my meaning here. So, the range is there, and of course, the big boys are also there when you're up close for some pretty big damage. Now, let's just talk grabs for a second. So yes, you saw the spinning pile driver. That's his signature grab, for sure. But there's a lot more than just that in Street Fighter 6. So we have that. And when you know it, the old running bear grab is back, the moving forward grab. And just so you know, this grab is definitely armored. So it can tank through anything coming its way. So he's going to just barrel through you. And if you do it right beside the enemy, it actually becomes a different grab. The old double suplex from older Street Fighter games returns. Doesn't do quite as much damage as the spinning pile driver, but it also does leave you a bit closer, meaning you can pressure them a bit better on their wake up. Thanks to the universal systems of Street Fighter 6, Zangief is doing pretty well for himself. And he can just use the drive rush and just charge in right after a grab. Now, what about people that jump at you? That's really annoying, right? Well, you still have the classic spinning lariat, which is as good against jump-ins as it ever was, and naturally is also invincible against fireballs, so you can spin your way in while avoiding those nasty fireballs from Guile or Ryu or whatever. But don't worry, air grabs are also a thing. This comes in the form of the mighty air pile driver, which does return from Street Fighter V. So this is graduated to core moveset. He just always has it. And also, borrowing a little bit from Potemkin and Guilty Gear, he has a level 1 super that's a giant Batista bomb that just snatches you out of the air. And Guilty Gear Strive fans, I got good news for you. Unlike Heavenly Potemkin Buster, this actually works as an anti-air move. As long as you're on the ball, this will indeed work as a proper anti-air, unlike Heavenly Potemkin Buster. So that's good. That's nice. Okay, so grabs. We have spinning pile driver. We have the running bear grab, which is great. We have the double suplex from the running bear grab. We have air pile driver as well. Is that it? Nope. There's still more. They decided to buff Zangief's regular throw game. So instead of just, forward throw, which is good, and back throw, which is also great, Zangief's got a lot more regular throws. He also has neutral throw, and you can hold it to do even more damage. He also has down throw. He also has down back throw, and he also has down forward throw, which is a nice little spine buster. So yeah, his throw ability, to say the least, is, well, the best it's ever been. Dude can toss you around very, very easily. And of course, not the least of which, he still has the amazing 720. And if you see the super flash, it's too late, you can't jump out of it. You're just going to be eating a lot of damage. Now, for some other things, his debatably useful kick counter from Street Fighter V does return. And while it's still only for kicks, it at least hits way more kicks than it did in Street Fighter V. So, for a move that does a lot of damage for a very hard call-out, that's great. Other things, well, lots of armor. So we already showed the running bear grab has armor. Stand heavy punch also returns with armor. Take a hit, and you can slam the enemy just right down to the ground. So he can definitely bully his way in. Also, the lariat. So lariat is back, but we also have EX lariat now. So what is EX lariat? Well, EX lariat does more damage, starts up faster, which is great, because you can actually use it off basic lights. So it gives him a bit more teeth now. So if you're in that situation where you're scared the enemy's going to jump, because, they're expecting the pile driver, and naturally, they should. A situation where you can just go like crouch, light kick, crouch, light punch to stop them from jumping, now has more teeth to it. Doubly so, because as an EX, it means you can cancel into level 2 supers. And wouldn't you know it, his V-trigger comes back. And it's very different this time around. So it still has the vortex effect. It'll still bring in the enemy. And it has a jackhammer now. And you can choose where to go with it. You can go forward, you can go backwards, you can stay in place. And also, it's modular. You can hold the button. And he does the classic spin and launches you in the air. And my friends, you better believe you can follow up after that. So we know the enemy's going to throw a fireball. Haha, gotcha. We can hold the button, and we can jump after the fact, and then do our air pile driver EX for some pretty substantial damage. Or if you want to go whole hog, you can actually get the level 1 super after the fact. And actually, by itself, does just a little bit more damage than the level 3. So there's a lot of utility and variety. So I mentioned before how plus frames are mildly rare. Zangief has some pretty good ones. Advantage frames here on the headbutt, +4. So immediately, guess, crouch light, and as we discussed, if this connects, we can easily combo into EX lariat. That makes life a lot easier. Or of course, naturally, after headbutt here, well, we'll just go right into pile driver. And also, he is the recipient of the only plus on block light attack in the game. Now, if you know older Street Fighters, like every light was plus, pretty much. Like maybe sometimes crouch light kick wasn't, but like you always had at least one plus light. He's the only character in the game that has a plus light. You may think you're safe after that, but he's still advantage, and he'll absolutely get you. So, some really good stuff. So, Zangief's a renaissance man in Street Fighter 6. Not only that, it's still got a lot of fun things. Like, stand heavy kick can be charged now, and if you charge it, it's a wall splat. And speaking of wall splats, he has a new command drop kick, and as a more wrestler than ever, it's good for him to have a drop kick. And it's tailor-made to beat crouch medium kicks, as it just completely goes over him. He's not there to be hit. And as you can see, it splats him against the wall, and you better believe it'll combo. I'd say that's pretty respectable damage for such a simple thing. He also has a very far-ranging overhead now, and wouldn't you know it, that also goes over lows, and also will lead to combos if it's a punish counter. So yeah, things are just looking up for Gief. The universal systems letting him just go across the screen in a way he never really was before. Like, because, you know, this is not Mortal Kombat. You normally can't run. Drive Rush, well, it lets you run effectively, which is a godsend for Zangief. So the old boy is positioned to be a threat in a way he hasn't been in a very long time. So if you're looking for Gief and some grappling goodness, this might be his time at bat. Now, Manon. So Manon, she's the other main grappler in the game. Now, we just came off the Zangief section, right? And you might notice she's a couple 100 pounds lighter. She's actually ridiculously tall for a woman, but she's not as tall as Zangief, right? So how is she the main grappler? Well, she's a new kind of grappler. She's the momentum-based grappler. She's the steamroller grappler. She gets stronger as the match goes on. So you might look above her health bar and you see a 1 with a little icon, right? And that's a little judo icon. And that represents her throws. So her throws here, now we did a throw here, it says 2. If we do a throw again, it's going to say 3. If we do it again, it's going to say 4. And hey, the animation's changing, okay. If we do it again, it's going to say 5. And the damage is starting to get up there. Oh my lord. If we do it one more time now at 5, what's going to happen? Oh, the animation's different again, and oh, look at the damage. So Manon is not as strong as Zangief early on with the grabs. However, as she levels up, she gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and by the end, her grabs are much stronger than Zangief's. For comparison for the numbers, Zangief's heavy grab does 3,300. Manon's level 5 grab does 3,700, much more damage. And that's not the only move the metal system affects. She also has these little lovely spins, and these spins also build the metal level, and just like the grabs, every 2 levels the animation starts changing, showing off her, grace, her ballet, and her judo, and she'll toss you around very easily, and here we are at level 5 again, and we're going to do the most amount of damage, and the most brutal animation. So it works out kind of like this. If she grabs you, the metal level goes up. If she combos you, the metal level goes up. So basically, most hits, one way or the other, she's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. She's at her weakest at round 1, and at her strongest potentially, say, round 2 or 3. So it's very different than some other characters. Like, unlike, say, Jamie, who also has a level up mechanic, these level ups are permanent. They stay between rounds. So every time you get hit by one of these or you get grabbed, that level up is there until the match is over one way or another, which makes her just progressively scarier as the match goes on. So how she gets to these positions is a bit different than Zangief. She can't armor through things the same way. Like, she has drive impact, which is universal, sure, but she doesn't have that. Also, her drive rush is probably the worst drive rush in the game. It's different character to character. Zangief's is much better than hers. So she can't really use that the way to sneak her way in either. So how does she get her way in? She doesn't. She actually doesn't. So what does she do? She wins footsies. And the beauty of her winning footsies is her footsies bring you in. So when you're doing the back and forth poke wars, she has 2 different pokes that vacuum you in. So that and stand heavy punch. Stand heavy punch, look at that. If I hit you from this far away, now you're in, and she has big time advantage, by the way. Enough advantage that if you hit a button, she'll always beat you. And if you play passive, well, then she's always going to grab you. So if you're both in that situation where you're both back and forthing, Zangief could hit you, and that's the only reward he gets, right? However, if Manon catches you, it's immediate mix-up time. So that's where she puts you into the blender. That's where she wins the game. It's off pokes. And her pokes are actually substantially good. Better than a lot of the cast. And that doesn't include her specials too, which we'll go into in a moment. But yeah, it's as simple as any other character in the game. A lot of Street Fighters is back, forth, poke. Back, forth, poke. But for her, it's back, forth, poke. Oh, mix-up time. Grab time. Which makes her a very different and scary kind of grappler. Other things about her. Her ability to control this part of the screen is exceptionally rare and exceptionally strong. Her buttons are very long range for what they are, especially stand heavy kick. But she also has the quarter circle back series. Quarter circle back light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. Quarter circle back medium kick is the most bland. It's your combo fodder move. Also, it can punish things from very far away. And it's exceptionally fast too, 16 frames. And speaking of 16 frames, how about this? This is a low. From half screen, 16 frames. Unseeable. You cannot react to this. If you're in the comments saying I can react to 16 frames, you're a liar. Straight up. You cannot. So when you're doing that whole back and forth that we're talking about, she can just snipe you with a low that you'll never see coming. Which is accentuated with the heavy kick because this is an overhead. It's 20 frames. This is on the edge of reactability. On the very edge of reactability. So from this far away, she can mix you up. Most characters, you gotta be, say, around here to mix you up. No. Manon, she can be half screen away. She doesn't have to play around. She can be half screen away and snipe your toes or snipe your head and go from there. Now, also defying some logic. If you call out the low, you get punished. That's how it is, right? The overhead, though, not really. Not really. Unless you use it point blank, which you should never ever do, it's almost always safe. No character can punish 9 frames from that far away. It just doesn't work that way. So you can actually mildly toss this out willy-nilly. And if you can just kind of go crazy on the overhead, they're going to default to blocking overhead, which means the low is going to come for you, right? Another area where she wildly excels is anti-fireball. So for Zangief, you know, he can lariat and all that. He has some tools, but, you know, he always struggled against fireballs. That's part of the design. Manon's quite the opposite. So we talked about her spin. This is the spin. If it gets you, it hits you, raises the metal level, makes everything stronger. It's good. And if we turn on our frame data here, one thing you're going to notice is on the frames, there's all these like kind of weird little white frames with the stripes through it. These are projectile invincible frames. So it's the easiest thing in the world for her to just go through fireballs. So if Ryu or any other fireball character is inclined to throw fireballs from roughly this far away, she can just go through it. If you're fast enough, you can do it on reaction. And there's a lot more than just that. Because yes, obviously enough, that's not going to connect, right? But you can also hold the buttons for the spin and just spin in place. That's it, that's all, right? So if you're far away, you don't got to commit to a raw jump and worry about the gimmicks. You just see the fireball and you're like, nah. I'll safely spin right through it like it wasn't even there. So you get to gain ground very easily against fireballs without resorting to the traditional jump or resorting to the slower spin attack. And also, once again, there's a third attack. We have the spin attack, we got the raw spin, and we also have spin kick. And the spin kick, she's got some range to her. Let's put it that way, right? So it can engage from much further away than the normal hit grab. And also, if it connects from just about any range, easiest follow-ups in the world, guaranteed extra damage. We talked about the double kicks here, how fast it is. Well, it's so fast that even from that far away, you get combo follow-ups. So yeah, 3 kinds of spin, all have varying levels of projectile invincibility. So if you think Ryu, Guile, whatever, they're going to be tossing those nasty old booms, it is the easiest thing in the world to get around them. Also, one odd thing about Manon, which is, I don't know, odd character design, but I'll take it. She's weirdly amazing against all kinds of jumps. I'm talking like something like basic like back medium kick is an amazing anti-air. Like, it's meant to be like a string with an overhead. Right? So like it being an anti-air is great, sure. She also has a slide command normal, down forward heavy kick, which is also amazing against jumps. And if it hits a jump or anything else that's airborne, it automatically switches sides. It throws them on the other end. She has an amazing air-to-air presence. which lets her juggle after the fact with a jump medium punch. She has a double hitting command normal, down fierce punch, which splats the enemy directly in front of you. So you can follow up and, you know, just do whatever pressure you could think of, including command grabs. It's just, for a character that doesn't have, like, you know, a Shoryuken, right? Like a traditional anti-air move, it's just really oddly strong. So, you know, if your buddies jump all the time, and almost a pretty good counter pick. So as someone who's the foil to Zangief, the other primary grappler in the game, you know, designed to win either by the command grab or the threat of being command grabbed, she's very fun and interesting. So if you're in the market for a character that can just really beat heads, grind people to dust, do a lot of command grab damage while looking as stylish as F while doing it, Manon is a pretty good pick. Not the least of which, just she makes the basic stuff really easy. Like a basic drive impact into the level 5 grab. Yeah, it's like a solid 40+% damage. So she's got the damage, it's all good. Now, Guile. So Guile is a very classic case of the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that's for the most part just a good thing, right? So maybe a bit of a spoiler warning, but Sonic Boom and Flash Kick. That's the thing. Although his V skill has been graduated to a special move, which means Guile now officially has 3 special moves instead of 2. So the Sonic Blade now is its own official move. This is quarter circle back, not a charge move, quarter circle back punch. So when he does it by itself, it's a projectile that just kind of stays on the screen for a small amount of time. And it can actually own a good amount of real estate. Like, it stays on screen for a fair bit. And if you do the move and then hit forward and punch, you get the Sonic Cross, which is the expanded Sonic Boom. And yes, you just hit forward. You do not need the charge. You don't have to hold back then hit forward like a regular Sonic Boom. For this one, just hit forward and punch and it automatically comes out multiple hit. And this can be for the regular light one, which is nice and slow. Like, you can walk behind it really good. All the way to the EX one, which is wicked fast. So the old Sonic Boom game is what it's always been. I'm going to throw out all sorts of booms. Some of them are going to be fast. Some of them are going to be nice and slow. At which point, eventually, you know, after all these booms, you're going to want to jump. And when you do, you get flash kicked. That's how it goes. That's how it'll be. What once was shall forever be, right? But there's some other stuff too. Some fun things like Sonic Hurricane returns as his level 1 super. And, you know, in a lot of ways, it's good at what a lot of things it's been good at. Like old things like, did I catch you flinching? Oh, you caught you flinching. Time to get got, right? But one of the interesting things about the move now is it changes depending on the button press. So we saw the regular version. Now let's look at the heavy version. So the enemy's going to jump here. And the heavy version is an anti-air. So it'll actually snipe you out of the air. So besides the usual flash kick stuff, he has an alternate means of getting you, also from pretty far away as well. Guile also has a perfect mechanic like Luke for his Sonic Booms and for his flash kicks. So let's take the Sonic Boom, right? So say for point blank, and we do the regular Sonic Boom, we're plus 3 frames of advantage, which is not much to work with. But if we do perfect timing, we just have to hit forward and punch at the exact same time for a Sonic Boom. Now we're at 4 frames of advantage. And when you know it, crouch, light punches is exactly 4 frames. So say you're in the corner here and we hit you with a bit of a combo. If we do the not perfect Sonic Boom, well, that's the end of the combo. But if we do a perfect Sonic Boom, you can get some combos now, thanks to the extra just frame advantage. It's only 1 frame, but if you got the perfect timing, well, makes all the difference in the world. Also, a regular boom does 550 damage. If you happen to do a perfect boom, it'll do 600. So just a little bit more damage. The timing is not super strict, but if you can get it, the rewards are there. Like, also say like the flash kick. If you're a little sloppy with your timing, it'll be 1200, but if you have perfect timing, it'll be 1400. So there's rewards for good timing. But besides all that, he's still pretty much just Guile. We have Sonic Puncher, which lets you do multiple booms. That's really nice. Also a handy little timer now, so you can see when it's going to end. And little things like, you know, if you're tossing those EX booms, the extra booms can add up to a pretty solid chunk of damage, as you can see here. So if you're just looking to control some space, this is always a good way to do it. And the old level 3 is still a charge motion, just like Sonic Hurricane. So charge, back, forward, back, kick. And you'll get just about the sickest flash kick you're ever going to see in your life. So Guile's maybe the closest of all the original characters to just what he's always been, right? Ryu's got new tricks, Ken's got new tricks, even E Honda's got some new stuff, right? Guile, he imported the V-skill as a regular move, but otherwise, well, he's still Guile. Now, JP, so one of the newcomers to Street Fighter 6, perhaps the most alien of all the cast. So I mentioned earlier in the video, Luke. Luke has some NRS tendencies, like Mortal Kombat. If you play Mortal Kombat, you can like mostly figure out Luke, just because he has a lot of tendencies. Now, JP feels like a full-on actual Mortal Kombat character, like he was ripped from Mortal Kombat and somehow just put into Street Fighter. So he's a zoner, but he's not the normal kind of zoner. So let's start with the basics. We got ground pounds, we got ground spikes. So 3 buttons, 3 different ranges. And if you do EX moves, they come in a variety of different ranges as well, depending on which 2 buttons you press together. So this kind of thing is not unheard of in Street Fighter. You know, Necalli, Sea Viper, they have their own ground pounds, if you will, right? But we start getting weirder and weirder. So next, you got these guys, little reality tears, if you will. This move is called Departure. And, well, you can do a lot of fun things with it. So you just saw me teleport, but say we just let it rock. It'll do its best to home in on the enemy wherever they are and attack them with a giant, jagged Psycho Power spike. So you control where you put them. It can be close, or conversely, it can be far, or magically enough, in between. And if you want to do an EX version, you can place 2 of them at once, and they'll both go off. So if I place them both directly on your head here, they'll combo. Like, that's just how it'll go, right? You can even have them in different spots here, one close, one far. And when they're up, as we just shown here, we can detonate them early, or we can gimmick it and teleport to it. And yes, naturally, if we're teleporting to it, we can definitely do some sort of jumping attack after the fact. So that's already weird, but we still got more. How about the ghosts? So this is sort of a replacement, I guess, for a standard projectile. This is the kick version, light kick that is. Here's where things change up. The medium kick version, that's an overhead. Like, you have to block that standing. If you're crouch blocking, this will hit you. And not only will this hit you, he can combo after the fact. And that heavy kick version is a low. So yes, standard fireball, sure, which knocks down. Normally you have to spend meter in Street Fighter to knock down on a fireball. Not for JP. No meter needed. And every time you knock them down, better believe you get to set up your departures and all the tricks and gigas, right? So the fireball, overhead, and low, because why the F not? So that's all weird enough, right? Well, he's also got really solid range, all things considered. For a zoner, his footsies game is very solid, very good pokes. Good command normals as well, some of them that launch and can lead into direct combos. All sorts of target combo chains. Don't know why he needs them, but he has them. Because why not, I guess, right? As a zoner, one thing that's really weird is he has a proper overhead. Because in case, you know, you got to get bopped, right? But you know what? When you're getting knocked down and you have something like this about to hit you, the overhead gets a lot scarier. Doubly so because it combos from throws, too. So if you're worrying about lows and overheads and all that kind of stuff, and this is about to hit you, wouldn't you know it? That can be a thing, right? Keeping with the Mortal Kombat nonsense line of thought here, his level 3 is probably the best level 3 in the game. Because even from exact full screen, if he catches you doing anything, you're dead. Because his super goes all the way full screen. It doesn't matter the distance. There's no travel time. It just happens. So when you're worrying about dodging spikes, dodging different kinds of spikes, dodging ghosts, all that kind of stuff, if he dare catches you hitting a button, you're done from anywhere on the screen. Which is really wild. It's really, really wild. Also, from anywhere on the screen, his level 2 super summons a bunch of ghosts wherever you happen to be. They attack. Now here's the thing. So you see multiple ghosts hitting. The ghosts that hit from above are actually true overhead, so you have to stand block that. So while you're worrying about stand blocking, if I hit you low or something, you're just going to get hit, right? So if you're stand blocking, you just go for low. Next ghost hits you, and I can combo from it. And speaking of doing some damage, this whole wild setup can easily be comboed from. Like, it's not a particularly big deal for him to just absolutely destroy your life bar doing this off very easy hit confirms. And then sends you on your lucky way full screen. And once you're full screen, hey, how about one of these? How about one of these? And just deal with all this nonsense, right? JP seems pretty alright. Cherry on top of this debauchery that you've seen. For whatever reason, he has an air throw too. Why does he need an air throw? I don't know, but he has an air throw. So if you're looking to play Street Fighter, but you're like, man, I wish Kenshi or Quan Chi was in Street Fighter, JP is your boy. Juri's living large in Street Fighter 6. One of the things about Juri that's always handicapped her, despite being a very popular character, is she's, well, weird to play. In Street Fighter 4, she was a negative edge character, which means you had to hold buttons down, then let go of them, which is not popular at all. In Street Fighter 5, she had to build stocks and then burn them. And well, she does as well in this game, except it's the best it's ever been. Because say if you want to toss her fireball, you build the stock, you do the fireball, right? That's still the same. But now you can do the moves without having to have the stocks. They're not as good. Like, you know, the old fireball don't quite go super far without the stock in place, right? But at least you have the option. In Street Fighter 5, you could not do any move. So that means stuff like a lot of her combo fodder, you won't be shortchanged. You can still do a lot of stuff. Building stocks, by the way, still destroys fireballs. So easy to build them up raw. Still easy to combo into, so that's not a big deal. And if you're looking for some of the bigger moves and you don't have the stock built up yet, EX moves give you the best possible version of the move without any stocks needed. So if you want raw fireballs that go actually full screen, unlike the normal version, well, they will, and they're double hitting. If you're looking for combo extensions, like say the normal medium Fuha, well, you can do it whenever you want. All it takes is just a little bar. All it takes is just a little bar. So if you have those hit confirms down, but you don't got the stocks, you can still do all your fancy combos. So Juri's ease of use is better than it's ever been. And as always, if you happen to have the stocks, if you have enough, everything changes into everything. Kick goes into the fireball. You can have, say, the fireball go into the combo ender kicks, whatever works for you. It's a very fast resource to build up, and it's also, well, very fast to spend. So this is something you'll be doing a lot over the course of a fight, but you know what? It's very easy to combo into as well, so it'll work out. Juri also gets her dive kick back from Street Fighter 4. So her anti-fireball game is better than it's been. That's great. That's fantastic. More tools is always better. And as before, if you hit with the absolute tip of the move, you can actually get combos without having to do the normal follow-up. So lots of options on the table. Also, classic moves like her Feng Shui engine have been reworked a bit. It still lets you create like impossible combos, lets everything change into just everything else, right? Lights go to lights, mediums go to mediums, heavies go to heavies, or light, medium, heavy. It's basically limited only by your imagination. However, if you hold the button while doing it, it'll actually charge forward and have a hit attached to it. So say you get a poke off, you can now just hold it, hit the enemy, and then just go into whatever chains you want to go into. So if you're in the mood for something a bit more fancy than usual, I think Juri can definitely help you out with that. Because fancy's part of the bag with Juri for sure. And also, I think this is the best version of Juri ever. Way better than Street Fighter 4, way better than Street Fighter 5. I'm not going to say she's super top tier or nothing, but she's got the good buttons. She's got the good walk speed. She's got good presence. Much better than Street Fighter 4 or 5 in my opinion. This is, to me, hands down, the best version of this character ever. So if you're on the Juri fanboy train, now is the time to get on board. Now, Dee Jay, of the original cast, this is definitely the biggest glow up of all of them. You know, a lot of characters are doing real well from themselves, and you'll probably some of them will be higher tier than Dee Jay. I'm just talking quality of life. Dee Jay is the coolest damn character he's ever been. A lot of things you could throw at him were basically that he's Guile, but worse, because, you know, he's a charge character, and he has not Sonic Boom, right? And he has not Flash Kick. But now DJ is so much more. Not the least of which, not Sonic Boom. Now shoots 2 Sonic Booms, 2 max outs. Which means, effectively, other than when people are willing to spend meter, he's going to win every Fireball war, even against Guile, because 2 projectiles at a time is not really something other people can keep up with. As for that Flash Kick, well, he still has one of my favorite things in the world, where you can, like, combo it into itself, which, I don't know, is just very satisfying. So yes, he does remain a charge character, but only for those 2 moves. And for other non-charge moves, Machine Gun Upper, it's now just quarter circle back, and it deals a ridiculous amount of damage for what it is. Patently absurd. And naturally, you can use it in combos. He has his traditional Sobat kicks as well. They're just quarter circle forward now. No need for charge. And he has a feint. And it's actually a through line throughout a lot of his moves. The feint here. So if I go for like a little combo, oh, I hit you. Sure, but I can go, oh, fake out and go for a throw and get more overall damage. And same with those fireballs we mentioned. So we can throw them all day, and one thing about 2 fireballs is you're definitely open for longer, right? So if someone jumps in, if you're throwing 2 fireballs, they're definitely guaranteed to hit you. But what if you just threw 1 fireball and, well, there wasn't even a fireball there? You just feinted and you recover right away. So say here, I go for those 2 fireballs and whoops, I'm donezo, right? But say I only go for the fake out. Turns out I got plenty of time to anti-air you because he's got some pretty good anti-air normals. So yeah, tossing regular fireballs, feint fireballs, feinting Sobats when, you know, you could take some damage, but why not scam him out and go for more damage overall? And he also can fake his up kicks and turns it into an actual jump. It has the flash like he's going for the up kick. And my friends, you can be pretty tricky with it because it lets you cancel into that jump from normals. That's more of like a Blaze Blue Guilty Gear thing where you can jump cancel a normal. DJ, well, I guess he's got a little bit of that anime in him, so he can do that himself. And on top of that, feints let you do combos you normally can't do. Like say normally stand heavy punch, which is a great button by the way, long range. Can't normally go to stand light kick. And stand light kick can actually go into heavy Sobat, so it's very useful. However, with say a fireball feint, you totally can. And now we got a combo that otherwise wouldn't be possible without, say, punish counters or some extenuating circumstances. So the whole feint system, it is what it is on the surface, and also a lot more when it comes to combos and tech. We also have Just Cool, which is a bit of a backstep, a dandy step if you will. And we have multiple options from it. You can just let it rock and not do anything, or go for a light kick, which is a low. Have to go up and block that crouching, right? Medium kick, which is an overhead. And by the way, just keeping up with this non-standard behavior here. That overhead, we're going to turn on that frame data meter. So that low, sure, it's negative, but it's not punishable. The overhead, well, geez Louise, it's plus on block. That means if they block the overhead, you still go first. So that's pretty good. And also, he's got a couple moves that have advantage on block. More than the average, actually. So DJ is very blessed in that way. And the heavy kick version is just straight up a launcher. So he can do it, launch you, and, well, combo you after the fact. So versatility is definitely there. And actually, there's one more thing. Because he can do a forward step. And one fun thing about that forward step is immune to fireballs. So he can take a little back step here and charge forward. And any Sonic Boom, Hadokens, whatever your way, he'll just go right through them. And he can fake out the fake out. So he can do the fake out here, forward step, and then back step the forward step. And he just tells you like, nah, man, I'm in your head. So DJ's just damn cool this time around. And that helps, he's got amazing buttons. This game is a game where buttons are much better than they usually are, especially compared to Street Fighter V. But DJ's a standout among the standouts, for sure. And he has, you know, multiple trips like he used to. This is basically the only trip in the game, the only sweep in the game that's pretty much safe on block, except for his traditional slide, where if you space it perfectly, it's also safe on block. So that's really handy. If he's so inclined, he can just start dancing, and dancing actually builds meter. So whenever you have a brief lull in the action, you can just bust out the lights, and they're at least getting a little chunk of meter. So if you know they're not going to catch you in time, you can sneak in that little meter gain and just go from there. really handy. So Dee Jay, honestly, already pretty damn cool in my books in this game, because he can do just a lot of cool things. Compared to, frankly, even though I liked him as a character, he was just boring before. Now he's one of the most dynamic characters in the game, and it doesn't stop there, because he's got a rhythm mechanic. So his level 2 super has what we call a deadly rave mechanic, and you have to hit a bunch of buttons in order to keep going. Now, this is one of the supers that's affected by which button you press. The light version, it's just you hit the buttons in order, easy peasy. The medium and heavy versions, though, have these little beats here. And as you can see here, I kind of fizzled it out. You actually have to time the rhythm of the beat. It's kind of like a music mini game. And if you do it correctly, you can get a big finisher at the end. So let's look at my timing here. You see here, 2100, because I was just kind of mashing everything, right? My timing, well, I just wasn't feeling the beat. Now, if I try to do it a bit more correctly here, a bit more on time with each musical note, not only am I going to do more damage, I get a special ender, and he can choose if he wants to end left or right. Just change the side. I get more overall damage. And the heavy punch version is much more strict. Like, I already botched it. Like, it'll let me get my moves in, but you see the damage is very poor. You actually have to have exceptional timing to have the heavy punch version go off. So for a man who's always rocking the beat, feeling the groove, now he has an actual musical mini game to go with it. So Dee Jay, man, he's one of the coolest damn characters in this game. I love it. Next up, we have Lily. So Lily is T-Hawk, basically, just as a small, cute girl instead, and a bit more marketable to the general public, I suppose. So when it comes to the stuff, well, let's just call it for what it is. She has Tomahawk Buster, she has Condor Dive, and she has Mexican Typhoon, the command grab. So yeah, she is T-Hawk. Now, where she isn't T-Hawk, though, is she has a resource. That is the Condor Wind. So she can spin her clubs and gain up to 3 stacks of Condor Wind. And then, well, it changes the moves. So now that Tomahawk Buster does multiple hits. The Condor Dive does multiple hits and they both do more damage. And the Condor Spire, which also returns from T-Hawk, this is the main event. So here's your regular Condor Spire. And you want to hit the enemy. That's good. That's great. Here's a wind version, though. You see here, it's multiple hits. And if you're a bit closer, it actually be 3 hits total. And it knocks the enemy down. And also, if you have multiple stacks, leads to very easy combos in the corner, which is great. But as always, here, we've been going to it a few times in this video here. Let's bring up Lord Frame Data. So Lord Frame Data's got something very special to tell us. So if the enemy's blocking, and we have the wind up, we only need one, and when they block the Condor Spire, and it does not matter which version it is, light, medium, heavy, EX, whatever, they block it, it says here, Lily's +1. So it's only a single frame of advantage. It's not a lot to be, but it's actually the entire world. Why? Well, that means once you block this, you are in Mixed City. Her fastest move, which is tied for fastest move in the game, 4 frames. So that means if you block this move, your 4-frame move will always lose to hers. And if we're in that situation, say I go for strikes, you try to hit a button, well, you just got comboed. Simple as that. I win. And if you want to be passive, well, I won't do anything then, right? Because I know I'll lose if we both press buttons at the same time. So after that block... Oh, whoops, you just got command grabbed. Sorry. And now, after that command grab as well, because it creates so much distance, she can just freely gain another wind stock and then repeat the process. So she, more than most characters in the game, can just get you really easily. And if she's inclined to spend meter, well, EX Condor Spire is very fast. Very, very, very fast. She'll just be on you like nothing, right? And for her benefit, it's completely invincible to all sorts of projectiles. It doesn't matter. It's just an easy way in. There's basically very little you can do to stop it. And if you're about to tell me, well, Rooflemonger, I believe I'll drive impact through it, well, I hope your timing was really good, because it has so many hits, it can very easily break drive impact. It's basically just a big ignorant button. You get one stock in and you just go, brrrah, and work your way in. And if it hits, Awesome. Okay, we'll take that, I guess. And if not, you blocked, well, time to start guessing between strikes and grabs, because that's what it's going to be. Also now, besides that, that's kind of the core gameplay loop. Her counter wind, the medium and heavy versions are actual attacks. And even if the attack whiffs, you still build the stock. But as an attack itself, it's actually pretty good. Specifically, the heavy version knocks down. And say you knock them down from a decent ways away, it basically gives you enough time to guarantee to get another stock. So you can kind of get 2 for the price of 1. And the more stocks, basically the more better. The more you have, the more you can dump into the enemy. So say I hit the EX wind, then I can also get another enhanced wind tomahawk and more damage. As she can also double enhance certain moves. Her EX uppercut, her tomahawk buster, can also go into EX condor dive. It's expensive, but when you need damage, you need damage. And when you land, you can also go right into her level 2 super. And her level 2 super, interestingly enough, actually works in the air. Most supers do not work in the air. This one does. Her combo structure is not terribly complex. Like, the basics work well enough for her, right? But it's all about building and maintaining stocks. The more wind-clad stocks you have, the more you can just freely bully the enemy. And if you don't have them, you know, it's not doom and gloom, but you definitely are not at your optimal power. So besides building the wind, doing extra damage with the wind, doing Condor Spire like crazy, hoping they block, and when they block, then, you know, guess strike, or hopefully guess throw and get that really big damage in. She actually plays a really solid grounded game. Her poke game is above average. Stand medium punch is a workhorse. It's fast and long range for what it is. Same deal, crouch medium punch. Back heavy punch has a lot of range and also is special cancelable. So if you connect with the tip, feel free just to go into various moves. Stand heavy kick has even more range. Very reminiscent of Big Papa, has a lot to work with. And even though she's tiny, she still has the grappler splash, the very easy cross-ups that you barely have to think about, you barely have to aim. Just kind of fire and forget. So her normal situation, her basic buttons are all quite good as well. So basically, once again, summon the wind and then go crazy. Now we come to Blanka. So Blanka, thanks, to the graphics of the engine, he looks a bit more like a gorilla than he ever did before. And you know what? That's perfectly fine by me. And yes, he's still a charge character. And yes, he still does the Blanka ball. He still can charge down and do the vertical Blanka balls. And different kicks actually give him different angles, which is pretty handy. But other weird things like the rainbow roll. Rainbow roll, which is the oddball that can cross up, all that kind of stuff, that is now a motion. Electricity is a motion now. You don't mash punches anymore. You actually just hit quarter circle back and a punch, and then you shock the enemy. And also the X version is advantage on block. Normally all versions would be, basically, but now you got to burn a little bar to get the advantage. But the fun doesn't stop there. So one thing that he has air Blanka ball now. So you can actually do it, charge back, and then just hit forward while you're in the air and go forward. Now the beauty is the coward crouch. This guy here. If you hit kicks, he actually jumps up into the air. So if you hold down back to build your charge, coward crouch, hit kicks, he jumps forward, and then you can do that Blanka ball, charging back, while going forward, and become basically like Kano from Mortal Kombat. And yes, besides that, coward crouch, very low to the ground, can, avoid fireballs, can pop up and launch, and you can combo after the fact, very handy. Still has hops, and can still do punch, hop, gimmick, throw, all that stuff, all the classic laggy online Blanka experience. Now, one thing, he inherited his throw from Street Fighter V. So it's a leap throw. It's not especially fast, it's not like Zangief or anything, right? But it will still catch people sleeping, which is all it needs to be. It does not need to be spinning pile driver. Just every now and then they'll catch them. And since it's a special move, special cancelable, so you can do it from normals and just catch people even more unawares. And especially, like, say, the EX version has a lot of knockdown. It takes quite a while for the enemy to get up, which is great, because our newest addition to the family, the Blanka Chandals! So if you saw Street Fighter V and a lot of varying accoutrements around Street Fighter, Blanka struck it rich. He made a doll of himself, and now it's all over the world. In fact, you'll see it in quite a few stages. And by itself, it doesn't do much, but if you give it just a little shock, it'll go on its merry way. So these are down, down punch, and you only get 3 per round, by the way. And depending on the kind of shock you give it, it changes how the move works. So you see quite a bit different there with the EX shock. And this one does hit multiple times as well. And it controls a large part of the screen. So it's almost like, say, Guilty Gear and the mini Fausts. So now, your little Blanka-chan buddies, they own this part of the screen, and whenever you want, you just be like, hey, go forward and control the neutral. And that's exactly what they'll do. In time, I guarantee you there's going to be a million nasty setups. Right now, I don't got them for you. But it's definitely going to be strong, for sure. Blanka also a big recipient, big winner of the drive system. Because, well, I'll let this speak for itself. Yeah. Yeah, you saw that. So his slide was always great against Fireball. Like, it puts him very low to the ground very quick. So if you see a Fireball, you can either slide under it just to gain space, or if you're lucky, you can catch their toes, right? And now the Drive Rush gives you the ability to slide and just literally hit from full screen. Which is great also because the Blanka ball, if it hits its punch counter, causes a bit of a tumble state. So if you hit with this as a punch counter and immediately go to slide, it will be a natural combo because it does hit from full screen. So that's just an extra added bonus. Also returning from Street Fighter V, his V-Trigger. It lets him do basically all sorts of different Blanka balls all over the screen. And you can try to control the direction, whatever works for you. So say I'm looking for a combo after the hit, right? I can go straight up and then straight again and get multiple hits. And what's really scary, if the enemy is blocking, you can actually use this just to keep the offense going forward. So say right here, the enemy blocks. Okay, that's great. That's all well and good, but we'll go down forward again. Now we'll go forward. Like, there's always to just trick the enemy because you can choose any directions you want. So if you're looking for a bit of trickery, well, that's on the table. And of course, you're just looking for like the big damage and of course the big level 3. The head bite is still a threat for Blanka, and he will bite your head off and shock you something fierce. So the big thing is, yes, there's a lot of classic versions of the character here, all the usual stuff you would expect. But the dolls, I feel this is it's going to take a while to optimize this, but the dolls, I feel, are the really special thing. Because, like, I can have them come at you and I can overhead you while you're worried about, like, crouch block and all that kind of stuff. Lead to all sorts of setups, and there will be setups in time, for sure. Jimmy, he's taken his merchandise empire, and now he's weaponized it. So, watch out. Now, Dhalsim. So, going into Street Fighter 6 from Street Fighter 5, Dhalsim ended Street Fighter 5 with just about the best character in the game. The worst you could say about him is he's the second best character, which I think speaks very highly of him. And come this game, the boy is still a threat. Stand medium kick is still stand medium kick. Let's put it that way, right? And of course, all the big boy buttons, you better believe they're still there. And heck, look at this. Thank you, Drive Rush. He can hit you from 80% of the screen away and Drive Rush cancel and go into whatever he wants to go for. So the good stuff's still the good stuff, and some of it's more terrifying yet. Okay, well, rooflemonger, he's got the big buttons, but now we have Drive Impact. You know, and fair, absolutely fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. A lot of Drive Impacts will beat his buttons because the buttons themselves are not special cancelable. However, along with the pokes, they gave the old Yoga Flame a bit of a buff. Specifically, the heavy version is one you're definitely going to want to use in neutral because look at the range. That's a lot. And when you know it, how many hits does that say? Oh, 3. So if you're having to be in the business of going for Drive Impact, 3 is exactly the right amount of hits to break Drive Impact. So they definitely gave him counterplay too. So don't just think you can freely Drive Impact through neutral. It's not going to work. Now, speaking of neutral, yes, the buttons, that's all that craziness. Let's talk some fireballs because boy, howdy. Fireballs. The usual stuff. He's got a nice slow fireball, and don't you worry, there's still all sorts of teleports. So you can slow fireball, teleport on the other end, all that kind of stuff. And also teleports are no longer Dragon Punch motions. It's literally forward or back, 3 punches, 3 kicks. That's it. So the motions are much easier than they were before. So if you ever struggled with that, now it's literally the easiest it's ever been. So that's really good. Now the thing about the base fireball is you can hold it. And if you hold it, it becomes a 2-hit move. So naturally, like the EX would be a 2-hit move. But now, you can get multi-hits for free. Just gotta delay your fireball just a little bit. But you can control that much screen that much longer. and just do really well for yourself. Now, you might recall Street Fighter 5, well, he had an air fireball instead. Only the EX fireball went straight. So he definitely has this normal straight fireball, but he definitely has the angled fireballs as well. So that's course forward kick. And controls all sorts of elements of the screen, and if you want to enhance it, it bounces. It bounces! So, like, look how much real estate it controls, and of course, naturally, you can hit them after the fact, too. So, what a crazy thing. And we're not done being crazy, so we got regular fireballs, we got air fireballs. Oh, and by the way, we got air fireballs. He can now do Akuma-style aerial fireballs. He'll bounce backwards after the fact, but it's an option on the table now. And by the way, the air fireball lets you air control after the fact. So, I can say, do some of my floating here. Or if I was looking to be a particularly difficult individual, I can teleport on the other way. And yes, the classics are still here. We have Yoga Mummy, we have Yoga Drill, and if you space it correctly, which is a little harder than it was in Street Fighter V, admittedly, but if you space it correctly, you can still make these plus on block easy as you please, up to +5. So, the plus on block offense of Dhalsim continues to be a threat, I would say, because +5 is a lot of plus to be. Also, Yoga Mummy is now cancelable on hit, so you can hit it, back up, and just start hitting buttons. Like, it's very weird. Like, his ability to move around the screen is some of the best he's actually ever had now. Between stuff like that and being able to move after air fireballs and all that kind of stuff, it's just really, really good. And of course, if you're just looking to jump in, right? I don't want to deal with these fireballs and limbs and all that kind of stuff. His anti-air game's as good as ever. Like, back heavy punch is the sniper rifle. It's a no-fly zone. And say he's a little slow. Oops, I forgot. Don't worry. Back heavy punch, or sorry, back medium punch is as good as it's ever been. Plus, still special cancelable, so he can land into a fireball and all that. Really, really good. A lot more command normals. Stand medium kick, back medium kick, stand heavy kick, back heavy kick. Oh, and which, by the way, is another layer of anti-air, just so you know. So yeah, he's got a lot of those. And on the ground, down light kick, down back light kick, down medium kick to slide, down back medium kick, down heavy kick slide, down back heavy kick, which is a proper sweep. So he's bristling with all sorts of options and command normals. So Dhalsim's still a tricky boy. Let's call it for what it is. He's not just going to be someone you can just pick up and mash with. He's very slow. He's got the worst jump in the game. Of course, he needs the worst jump in the game because he can fly in the air and he can teleport, right? Most characters can't do things like that. But yeah, he's going to be a character you can put some time into. However, maybe he won't be as dominant as he was in Street Fighter V, but I very firmly believe Dhalsim will remain a threat in this game. Just the amount of tools. Hell, they give him a third throw. He has forward throw and back throw like you would expect, right? But he also has down neutral throw, which puts the enemy full screen. So then just his zoning becomes even better yet because they're actually full screen, right? They're giving him all the tools and all the keys of the kingdom. So if you're willing to invest a little bit more time than extra for a character, I think you will be heavily rewarded with Dhalsim, especially because since teleports are now just 3 buttons in a direction, mechanically, he's the easiest he's been in a very long time, and that'll be very helpful. However, certain things will be subject to minimum height, like if you're going for jump heavy punch, you will have to have a specific amount of height first. It's not going to be easy like the old Tiger Knee timing, right? But if you're looking for the stuff, he's got the stuff. Not the least of which, legitimately, he has one of the coolest supers in the game. His level 3 critical arc, going insane, whipping you with his limbs, and then like a Inferno Yoga Mummy turbo drilling you to nothing. That's amazing. Like, the animation for Dhalsim, I imagine, has to be higher than a lot of the characters, because the characters look great, but Dhalsim looks one level above everyone else. And our final character is Cammy. So fan favorite, people like the new look, and I'm here to tell you Cammy is as easy and as strong as she's ever been. So Cammy is, for lack of a better and more elegant term, she's just generic Rushdown, right? But generic Rushdown historically has done very well for itself in Street Fighter, and this version of Cammy is very, very good. So let's just talk some of the basics. The buttons. Stand medium kick is as good as it's ever been. And by the way, her butt jiggles when she does it. So that's good. The core buttons here, like stand heavy punch, is ridiculously fast for a heavy button. Stand heavy kick has great range, great just zone of control for what it is. And of course you have all the other Cammy isms. You got dive kicks, and yes, if you dive kick correctly here and hit them like say right at their shin, then you will indeed be advantage on block. So work with that as you will. Her basic combo flow and combo structure is very, very easy. She's one of the few characters that gets 3 hits for a hit confirm, even on block. So very generous offense. You have all the time in the world to see, okay, I should go for my hit. And naturally, cannon drill, you go for it, dash forward, and you're directly on top of them, advantage frames. 8, that's a lot of frames to be plus with, you know. So the pressure, the rush down is as good as it's ever been. And of course, naturally, combo into whatever you want, right? It can be cannon, spike as well, but the offense is there. Now here's what's different. 1, the hooligan. So hooligan still has, you know, some of the basics, right? If you just let it rock, do nothing, you get leg slicer, which is a low, and it's plus on block, by the way. And yes, you can still dive kick from it. And of course, naturally, if you can space it correctly, you can get either neutral or plus on block dive kicks. So that nonsense is still there. And yes, the hooligan throw still exists, although they have to be standing. And well, rooflemonger, I'll just crouch. Why would I stand, right? You know, I can block that low anyway. Sure, it's plus whatever. I can block a low, but it's better than risk getting thrown. Well, she has an overhead from it now. And it's a safe on block overhead too. So you actually have to worry, is she going to overhead me or not? And FYI, that overhead, +8. So not only is she going to combo you, it's not going to be like light combos. She can start getting the bigger buttons. So if you got overheaded, then something like this could happen. And well, that's a lot more damage than the throw, right? So overhead, very scary. And also, she can fast fall now. So if you're doing this and like, okay, overhead, low throw, whatever, I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to go for my uppercut, right? She can land in front of your face, recover super quick, and block in time. So that's very scary. Like, this is basically like Akuma's demon flip now. Like, it is so much improved from how it's been in previous games. And of course, if you want to enhance it, things like that throw become a launcher now. So you can do all sorts of fun things from there. That overhead comes 2 hits, more damage. That's scary. Leg slicer, also 2 hits, more damage. Oh, and by the way, you get a combo follow-up as well. And fast fall, well, you still fall fast. So that's great. And by the way, there's an all-new mechanic for Cammy, the charge. So specials that have a heavy, so hooligan, spiral arrow, cannon drill, cannon spike. As long as you hold the button, you actually get a new move. So here's the regular version. And if I hold the button, new animation and, well, more damage. So regular heavy cannon spike does 1200. The charge version, 1500. Let's say cannon drill. Heavy cannon drill normally does 1000. Charged heavy drill by itself, 800. Oh, that's less. And yes, absolutely, that's true. Minus the part where you can juggle after the fact. And you can get the uppercut off and get way more damage. Hooligan, get those extra little flashers. It's a little bit slower. They're all a little bit slower. Hooligan gives you the EX version for free. So all the enhanced properties from the EX version, you just get without having to spend the bar. So yeah, if you're willing to delay your moves just a little bit, and yes, a lot of these you can combo into, by the way, you can get some wildly fantastic and strong properties. That's for general stuff. Like, her combo ability is very easy. Even off basic hit confirms, you can get EX drills into spikes and get very serviceable damage. And the bigger buttons lead to, well, bigger damage. A lot of Street Fighter V combo theory doesn't work the same way, but she can still very easily go for heavies and the mediums and stuff like that. Other characters, not so much. So that makes her life a lot easier. She has a very interesting level 2 super, in that if it hits a grounded foe, you get this nasty snap animation and a good amount of damage and combos off everything. And you can also do it in the air, which leads to some very easy scenarios. Like, say we're full screen, right? So I can just afford to randomly jump. Doesn't really cost me anything, right? And I catch you randomly throwing a fireball. Oh, caught you throwing a fireball. You're done. It's that simple, right? So you can just randomly jump when you have 2 bars and get a giant chunk on someone if they just happen to throw a fireball. So that's really good. But one of the other things is if it hits the foe airborne, the move completely changes. So earlier we showed this kind of juggle example, right? With the super, you actually get something quite similar. See how it hits for you all the way down and then it re-juggles him? So you can launch him and just kind of easily hold him down. And then while they're there, do the full charge version of Cannon Spike and get the extra damage for free without committing any other resources, because you have all the time in the world to charge thanks to that giant juggle. So a modular super, if you will. You can do multiple things with it, which is really, really cool. And that's about it. Cammy is very easy to play. And I think she's very strong and she's very straightforward. You don't have to really like lab a lot, like say versus like learning Blanka or Dhalsim or something. So if you're looking for someone who's strong, easy, straightforward, I highly, highly, highly recommend Cammy. And that is the video. So Street Fighter 6 has a very wide and diverse roster, and the characters do so much. Every character is capable of so many different things, and they're all so different from each other too. This is a big triumph of roster design in my opinion. No matter what your playstyle is, you will find someone to represent you. I guarantee it. Short of like anime puppet style characters, every playstyle is represented here. And so many of the characters, like from the older games, like Honda can do so many more things than he's ever traditionally done. Dee Jay can do so many more things than he's ever traditionally done. And, well, some of the characters that do sort of the same thing, like Ryu or Cammy, they do what they do exceptionally well now. And, of course, all the new characters are just as wild as anything, right? JP's bonkers, Manon is bonkers, everyone's bonkers. This is just a good roster. So that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope what I've had to say will help you on your journey to picking a character and hopefully eventual mastery of the character. And until then, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So if you watched all the way this far, a like, a share, a subscribe, it would all be greatly appreciated. This is a long video. And otherwise, well, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.
This is the love making.